Hey guys, Silver here, back in with another edition of Saturday Morning Cartoons. I'm actually kind of surprised I'm doing this, but I've been delving deep into a movie lately, so I figured why not review it. I don't know why I call it Saturday Morning Cartoons. I really only talked about 2 animated shows on here, but it's the only time I get to review something that isn't toys, so we're doing it now. So yeah, today we're going to talk about Balto. Balto's a movie that I kind of grew up on. I more or less grew up on that sequel, much like All Dogs Go to Heaven. I grew up on All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. And with Balto, I grew up on Balto 2, which we'll look at next week. And then the third one, which kind of, I don't know. To say the least, the first one is really good. The second one is pretty good. The third one is good. And we'll get into that when we get to that. So, with that being said, Balto is a story about a sled dog who delivers medicine to cure diphtheria to the city of Nome, Alaska, which basically is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it's freaking cold as shite. So, with that being said, how much of this movie is actually based on the true story of Balto? Well, I can tell you right now, most of it is made the hell up. So starting off with our main character, Balto, voiced by Kevin Bacon. He is part husky and part wolf, half and half. In the real world, there was no wolf half, he was just a husky. That's the one thing that turns people off this movie. If they had called it something else, like Wolfheart or something like that, they would have got away with all of this. Because it's like historical fiction. Yeah, it's doing the gnome sled thing in Alaska, the medicine, the gnome sled thing in Alaska, but it's not the same exact stuff. The way they were trying to push this movie was that it was like based on a true story, which very little of it's based on that true story. Because there was no half wolf, half husky dog. There was no evil dog bent on screwing a bunch of kids over. There was no giant bear who could take the head off of 6 dudes at once. There was no Russian goose or polar bears that couldn't swim or even a love interest. There was none of that. In fact, Balto didn't run the majority of the trail there. It was another dog. It was a Togo, which I'm working on a character design for that fella. It's not going to be at all like the regular Togo, but it's a little project I'm working on. You might see that over on my second channel or Instagram, one of the two. I'll give y'all a heads up when that's done. So, Balto, voiced by Kevin Bacon. Overall, Balto's actually a really good character. He's not cocky. He's not like a typical heroic character. He's kind of shy and kind of hides out and really only opens up to Jenna because reasons, and then her owner Rosie, who winds up getting sick later on in the movie, the first quarter, I'd say. But and those are really the only 2 people he opens up to in the whole movie. in terms of fully opening up, like, yeah, you guys are cool. Later on, the sled dogs, I guess, but we'll get into that. But Balto is friends with this guy named Boris. Well, actually, he's a goose, and he's voiced by Bob Hoskins. Or is it Bill Hoskins? Somebody Hoskins. You know what, it might be Bill Hoskins. I just had this stupid thing. I think it's Bob Hoskins. Okay. So, now that my brain fart's over. Yeah, so Bob Hoskins is the voice of the goose, and I don't mind the goose. I like the goose. The goose can be funny, and I like the Russian accent. I think it's cool. He's funny when, sometimes, and, he can be serious. So, that's two things I like about his character. That and I just like the look of him. He's got like a total Don Bluth vibe, but Don Bluth had nothing to do with this movie. This movie's done by the people who formed DreamWorks. They were named something else before DreamWorks. That's when this movie came out. But later on, they all went to DreamWorks and made Prince of Egypt, which everyone loves, I think. Can't remember if they made Iron Giant, though. Wouldn't surprise me. Another childhood movie of mine. But I digress. So yeah, I like Kevin Bacon as Balto. I like Bob Hoskins as the goose. What about Jenna? Who voices her? Bridget Fonda voices her. I actually had to look that up. I'm like, it's somebody Fonda. It sure as hell isn't Mephisto from the first Ghost Rider movie, because that would be freaking weird. I think his name is Peter Fonda. There's a lot of Fondas who do acting, I notice. I'm pretty sure there's a Jane Fonda. There's a Peter Fonda. Something like that. There's a lot of Fondas. But Bridget Fonda does a pretty good job at Jenna. I think the relationship between her and Balto is really strong, as well as Balto and Boris, because Boris is kind of like Balto's adopted father. We never see Balto's father. I'm pretty sure we see his mom. We at least see her in the second one. But I'm pretty sure the one in this movie, there's like a white wolf scene. I'm pretty sure that's Balto's mom, but don't quote me on that. But back to the relationship between Balto and Jenna. Yeah, it's a romance, but it's a more realistic romance. They don't freaking get it on in the first 10 minutes like, I don't know, most Disney couples seem to do, I think anyways. The only one that really didn't do that was like Beauty and the Beast. But we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about this movie, right here, right now. I mean, they kind of build up the relationship. It's built up pretty quick, but it's not like, bam, they're together. It's like Balto, in the beginning of the movie, gets Rosie's hat, which flew off of her, and typical cartoon convenience, oh, snap, I can do a good deed and get close to this lady standard. You've seen it before. But yeah, so Balto retrieves her hat and brings it back to her. Her parents are turned off by the fact that Balto's half wolf, but it's like Rosie and Jenna, respect him for that, which is cool. And, it's not something you see a lot in kids' movies. It's usually like, ugh. Even Gargoyles, they kind of snubbed him after they just saved their ass from the Vikings. It's kind of like that, Balto's kind of similar to Goliath from Gargoyles in ways, because they were both outcasts, they both couldn't fit in, they were both looked at as monsters because of their heritage. It's a very similar thing going on there. Obviously, Balto's a dog-wolf hybrid, and Goliath's an 8-foot gargoyle, but you know what I mean. It's the same shit, different people. So after that, the romance kind of starts, and, Jenna's kind of, she's not your typical damsel in distress. In fact, she freaking goes ham on this bear in the middle of the woods that's attacking Balto and his friends. We'll get to that. But that bear is the most metal thing in that whole movie. That bear is like, I would not want to screw with him, that's for sure. But she bites him on the arm. He throws her. She jumps up and bites him in the schnoz. Like right here. right in the middle of his nose. She bites him in the face. That's freaking gnarly for a kids movie. I mean, yeah, it's like Animal Planet shit, but it's like, bit the dude in the face. What the hell, man? So, yeah, she's not gonna sit down and let shit happen. In fact, in the second movie, we're just gonna bring this up briefly. She wants to go help Balto find their daughter, but Balto won't let her go because it's too dangerous. It's like, dude, she bit the face on a damn bear. That was like 12 of you. So that's really my only problem with the second movie. But we're not talking about the second movie. We're talking about the first movie. So yeah, you could tell that she cares for Balto, and you know, Bridget Fonda actually does a pretty good job voicing her, because out of this whole movie, Jenna's probably the most straight character, you know, the most toned down character. She's more believable to be like an actual individual in modern society, or real life society. She takes things seriously. She cares about people in certain ways. It's you know, it's more realistic. She's probably the most realistic out of everyone, even though she's a talking dog. That's not the point, though. The point is, all I can tell you is, after this movie ends, they definitely get it on. And puppies are born. So, with that being said, moving on to Steel, the villain. Voiced by Jim Cummings. Oh my god, this guy's off his rocker. The Steel character is like, every face he makes is like, you know, if we were assigned a project, if I was assigned a project to draw something, I could draw it one way, I'd draw it another way, I'd draw it another way. That's exactly what this character is like. It's like they drew him 60 different ways. They're like, you know what, screw it, let's just put all that in there. They just made him evil as shit. Is it overdone? A little bit, but that's the charm of it. That's the charm of it. And that's why people think this is a Don Bluth movie. It's like the Goose and Steel. Boris and Steel in this movie are legit the reasons why people think this is Don Bluth movie. That and the backgrounds. The backgrounds look amazing. They look kind of like watercolors, but I can't say for sure. But Steel, definitely one of my favorites. Villains that's not Disney. For that reason, and for the reason that, damn, he is an asshole. He treats Balto like shit. He tries to get it on with Jenna, but Jenna torches his ass in the boiler room, which that seems pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. And, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, he's just a dick to everybody. And he even messes up Balto's, you know, he claws the trees to find his way. He messes that up on Balto, so they get lost. What an asshole, right? So, with that being said, Steele's definitely one of the reasons I like this movie. He's just such a dick. And then we have Muck and Luck, who are voiced by Phil Collins. They're the comedic relief, and they're alright. Phil Collins does a decent job at it. This is not a musical, so you don't gotta hear him sing if you don't want to. It's not like Tarzan or Brother Bear or anything like that. So, you know, I don't mind Phil Collins' characters. They could have been a little bit better, but I didn't find them particularly annoying. They do contribute as well. They actually save Balto because he almost drowns in the ice after fighting the bear, the big bear in the middle of the woods. And they do bring Jenna back to Nome, the little city there, on a makeshift sled because she injured herself fighting the bear, which, you know, she gets fucking thrown around, dude. It's freaking nuts. Seriously, watch that fight scene. The whole thing's on YouTube for free. But with that being said, overall, if I was going to rate Balto, I have to give it like a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. One of those two, because it's like, yeah, I really like All Dogs Go to Heaven, but Balto, of the two, is probably the better movie overall. There's a lot more to deal with the main characters, and, you know, the story just seems a little bit more consistent, so, you know, it's a pretty straightforward thing. The only thing that kills this movie is the fact that they try to push it's based on a true story, when in fact it's not. So that being said, hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll catch you guys on another... I'll just catch you guys again, I guess. Laters!